be aware, there's a case in Brentwood where, fortunately, the person who's got it is recovering. They're unwell, but we hope they'll make a full recovery. We expect them to. They and their family are isolating along with another close contact. But we've had to work very closely, because we have to be really cautious about this new variant at the moment, to identify any possible sites, any possible people who might have been exposed to them over the preceding days. And the three areas that we're looking at are the KFC in Brentwood High Street, where we got people to test on Sunday, and we're also asking anyone who attended there on the 19th between 1 and 5, and also on the 18th between 3 and 5 to go and get a PCR test, just to be on the safe side. We think their chances of being exposed are very low, but because we don't know much about this variant, and because we really want to stop it spreading, we'd like people to get tested as soon as possible. We've also worked with the congregation of the Trinity Church at Pilgrim's Hatch, and also with the school, the Lockwood Primary School. And in that school, we've asked all the children to go home and have a test, and we've had most of those tests back now, and they're being analysed. And there's one class where we think the risks of exposure are somewhat higher, and in that particular class, we've asked the class to isolate for 10 days and also to have tests as well. It's absolutely precautionary. So what is known about the Omicron variant is, first of all, it shows some features that were shown in the Alpha variant, which used to be called the Kent variant, something called an S gene deletion, which actually is associated with fast spread. So you remember the Kent thing spread very fast this time last year, and this shows some similarities associated with fast spread. It also has some features of the Beta variant, which was the South African variant. And the main difficulty with that one was that the vaccines didn't work so well against it. So we've got a real problem if we have a variant where the vaccine doesn't work well against it and it spreads fast. We haven't had one of those up until now. The third issue that's really, really important, and we don't know about, is how sick do you get if you catch this one. And that's clearly important as well, because if it turns out that even though the vaccine doesn't work and it spreads fast, but it doesn't cause much harm, then it's going to be less of an issue than if it causes very serious disease. The problem is we don't really know the answer properly to any of those questions yet. We're looking at what's happening in South Africa, we're analysing what's happening locally, but sometimes in the real world, it doesn't exactly follow what you see in the laboratory. So because we don't know, to be on the safe side, we're really stepping up these precautionary measures at the moment. So it's a balance between getting the most effective benefit from having the booster and getting as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible if this Omicron is going to start spreading through the population. So it's to get that balance right. So the time interval is not a definite either or. It's suggested it's the best period gap to be left, but actually if you do leave a shorter gap, you'll still get a lot of benefit from it. Now, particularly in the younger groups who had 2 Pfizers to start with, the Pfizer is a very good vaccine. The Pfizer, the reductions in immunity after 2 Pfizers seem to be less than the reductions in immunity after the 2 AstraZenecas. So to get the additional benefit of the booster, they would still probably get that and still have substantial immunity, even if they didn't have to wait the full 6 months. In terms of Delta, I think we're already in a very good place with the boosters. It's really, really important, though, that the people who initially should have had the booster, so the particularly older people, people over 50, people who've got underlying conditions, they're the ones who really, really need the boosters, and people who had the AstraZeneca first time around as well. And that's really to tackle the Delta, which is the key issue at the moment. In terms of the Omicron, the position's different. We don't really know how effective vaccines are against it. Now, as we know, they'll be somewhat effective. The better immunity you have, the better vaccines you have, the more chance you have of fighting that. So that's why it's now important for everybody to have the booster, everyone to have the maximum possible immunity that they have, because you may need that against the Omicron, because the vaccines just may not be so effective. People who had the vaccines and are now waiting for the booster, please go and get it. If you have any issues you want to talk about, there's an ePort helpline that Simon and Shaw can put up, and also if you have actual difficulty getting to the vaccine, then the Essex Wellbeing Service, which again Simon can provide links to, they will be able to help you. They're able to discuss your issues. It's extremely safe. Some people think, oh well, I had AstraZeneca first time, I don't want to have a different one this time. There's no problem with that. In fact, there's evidence to suggest if you change your vaccine to a different one, you actually have a better immune response than if you stick with the same one. Personally, I had 2 Astras and a Moderna. I couldn't be happier. There are some people who say, oh, I don't want the Moderna, I want the Pfizer. But actually, they're very similar. They're produced very similarly. And actually, the Moderna is quite a lot stronger. The Moderna has nearly 3 times as much, well, has 3 times as much messenger RNA in it than the Pfizer does. So actually, they'll probably give you a half-dose Moderna, which is what I had. And I couldn't be happier. So I had very few side effects. The side effects of the boosters are generally quite low. If you have the AstraZenecas and then have the Pfizer, you shouldn't have, or Moderna, you shouldn't have any serious side effects. They're very safe. So absolutely, please get that booster. And it doesn't matter if it's Pfizer or Moderna. They're both very, very good. If you haven't had a vaccine yet, then you must have a good reason why you chose not to have it. But again, we're happy to talk to you. It's not too late. There's an evergreen offer from the NHS. So if you go there, no one will say, oh, you're a bit late. Everyone will just think, oh, you're really glad you've made the right decision. I'm really pleased you've come here. Now, you'll be welcomed with open arms if you go for that vaccine. So please do.